Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you all so much for joining us today for this live stream event. My name is Alexia, and I am the program manager of the Microsoft Reactor Toronto. I will be sharing session resources with you in the chat, but before we begin, I would like to quickly review two items, our code of conduct and event guidelines. First, please take a moment to review our code of conduct. Microsoft Reactor seeks to provide a respectful environment for both our audience and presenters. We encourage engagement in the chat, but please be mindful of your commentary, remain professional and on topic. And secondly, our event guidelines. This session is being recorded and will be available on demand through the Microsoft Reactor YouTube channel in about 24 to 48 hours. I will be sharing the link in the chat for our on-demand content. And if you have not been on a live stream through YouTube before, please note that you must create an account on YouTube in order to have access and interact in the chat. You can set that up now. And if you're unable to use the chat but have questions, feel free to reach out to us through social media or on our website. Which brings us to today's session. Today is the last session of the Startup Success Blueprint series. I'm going to bring in our speaker here, Luca. Welcome back.
Hi, Alexia. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah, thank you again for this wonderful series. We're excited for the last episode. And yeah, let's get it started.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. It's amazing to be here again for the last time, unfortunately, for this series at least. It's been an amazing journey. We learned a lot. I hope I taught you guys some cool stuff and some tricks and maybe some tips to create a startup or even grow your existing startup. I've learned a lot from you too. I talked with some of you in the past weeks. Uh, we had some chats and I actually learned a lot. So it's a pleasure for me. It was a pleasure for me to be here for these four episodes. And today we are the last one. And this is one of the most special ones because this is actually my area of expertise. For all the tech people, I'm sorry. Today we're not going to talk too much tech like we did with the MVP, for example, but we're talking more business, sale, everything. Mike, thank you so much. You're the best. I'm going to meet you very soon. Uh, before we before we start our session today, which will be called acquiring your first users and learning how to become the leader of your industry through getting revenue and through getting funding or everything like that. Before we start, I really want to go a little bit and talk about what is the story behind Startup Success Blueprint. I say it all the time. This time, I'm going to be a little bit more specific because it's the last one. So when I talked with that professor that I always mention from University of Toronto, and we talked, and I asked him, "Hey, how do startups become successful? What is the rule book? What is the playbook?" He told me that there's no playbook. Nobody did that, right? Y Combinator tried. They're doing a pretty good job through Y Startup School, right? But there's no rule. There's no actual rule book that you can follow step by step. And you know why? And he did a very interesting analogy that I didn't mention before. Startup is like cancer. uh, Cancer, every type of cancer is different. It's a rare disease. Like lung cancer is different. I don't know. Gallbladder cancer is different. Brain tumor is different, right? There are different type of cancers which are so completely different from each other. Startups are also different too. The only thing that they have in common is the word startup. They're so different. Like it can go so many different ways in different directions. The thing is that we can actually help, and we can help a lot of, this is kind of like part of my discussion with him, is I said we can actually help a lot of the startups figure out some of the problems and figure out some of the solutions very early and understanding what they are going to go through. So my goal with this series was not to tell you guys you have to do exactly this thing and this is going to make you successful. You can do all of things right and maybe you're not going to become successful. The thing is that we're trying to mitigate as much as we can the risk and uncertainty, the foreign thing in our system or in our industry, right? So we're trying to to learn as much as we can within the way. So that was kind of like my goal with this series. So let's start by asking the first question. And today we're gonna have some more homeworks like we had last time. But the first question for you is, where are you guys are calling from today? I am in Toronto, Ontario, and I'd love to know where you guys calling from. Calling from. I know Mike, for example. I think he's from Seattle. If I'm not sure. Uh, we've had a lot of people from Seattle. See Tyler again from Seattle. Mission Viejo in California. Santa Cruz, California. Oh, Mike, you're in Santa Cruz. Okay. Jorge was also last time. Hi, Jorge from Argentina. Maryland, USA. London, England. Paul. Veer from Seattle again. I love it. I love all Washington State. India, Akshita, very nice. Nice to meet you. Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Mexico, Christian, very nice. Wow, Long Island, New York. Yeah, my parents are in Long Island. I love Long Island. Belgium. Wow, nice. Thank you for coming. Christine, Seattle. Nice. Sylvia from San Rafael, California. Very nice. Very nice to meet you, Sylvia, too. It's nice to meet you, all of you guys. And we're going Berlin. Berlin also. Berlin has a lot of startup people coming to our sessions. It's very interesting. I love Berlin. What he's doing in the tech industry. Anyways, so we can start now. Let's start with a little bit of the agenda today. We're gonna learn about the going back a little bit about the ideation, and we're gonna do a little bit of you know a retrospective of what we learned, as we did also last time. We will learn about acquiring your first customers, how to attract early adopters, experience optimization. I didn't write everything here down because I have some surprises during the way, but it's also in the end we'll wrap it up with everything, basically the best lesson that we learned. So who am I? My name is Luca. I did study biochemistry in uni, uh, and from that I really was doing a lot of pure research. I did some research with professors at institutions like Harvard Medical School, and with some professors from UFT and University of Cambridge. But it turned out that that was not my would not be my journey for the rest of my life. I had to shift from pure research biotech into a more translational tech software because my mom, who is a family physician, burned out at 45 years old and retired. So I really wanted to find a solution for her. So that's why I created a company called doTERRA Health, in which we are creating the next generation of healthcare, uh, electronic healthcare records that will re-envision the whole healthcare system, especially here in Canada. I already won the award as the Young Entrepreneur of the Year in Canada last year, 2023, and the first place in a Microsoft pitch competition. Uh, I've been a guest speaker in a lot of universities, institutions, organizations, and lately I'm also the creator, along with Alexia, to this amazing series, Startup Success Blueprint. I wanted to take a moment before I know I say this all the time, but I want to emphasize how important it is for you guys to go into the Microsoft for Startups Founders Hub. They really helped us, especially with the new Azure AI feature that they have there. Helped us a lot with credits, but also uh, with uh, with a lot of other, you know, opportunities like OpenAI and free credits at OpenAI, free credits at LinkedIn, and a lot of other ways that they help us a lot. So I really believe that you guys should go into it and profit as much as you can. But also not only that, but they have a lot of technical mentors that can help you with, I don't know, MVP creation, from idea to MVP and actual product. You know, it's a very valuable uh, valuable program for, especially for early stage startups, but also for the growth stage startups. I know a lot of friends of mine that went through that they already raised, like, I don't know, $1.2 billion, $2 billion, and yeah, they found a lot of value in that. Cool. Janice says startups are nothing like cancer. I know, and that's what I told my my professor, because it was the analogy that he used. Uh, but his way of saying it, it was more like the 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 rareness, or it's so different from each other. It just, the word cancer is the same, right? But yeah, I agree with you. It's nothing like cancer. It's actually the most the the core of innovation and the core of capitalism, actually. So in the first episode, we talked about ideas. And this is the first quote that we learned from PG, Paul Graham, who is the founder of Y Combinator. He says, when you have an idea for a startup, ask yourself, who wants this right now? Who wants this so much that they'll use it even when it's a crappy version, one made by a two-person startup they never heard of? If you can't answer that, the idea is probably bad. So this is what Y Combinator calls it, the hairs of fire problem, right? You need a problem so good and so big that actually, even if it's not in the most perfect form, it's still, people are going to use it, right? So I agree with that at some point. I have, of course, I don't fully agree. I believe that ideas should come from the heart. They should come from the soul. And we talked about this. We talked about René Descartes. We talked about a lot of good startup founders that actually found a problem, and the idea came out of a personal problem, maybe a little bit like me too, right? So yeah, I think it was it is, that's kind of like my philosophy, right? But again, startups are so different and founders are so different, so you can have your own ideas on this. uh, Now, let's say you got a validated idea, a potential customers. Now, what happens, right? Like how can you maneuver a little bit into the market? The first step, and this is, I know it sounds a little bit like an MBA lesson, but you have to write down your business hypothesis. Treat it the way that I treated it, at least like in my experience, is treat it like a science project. And it was very, it was very interesting when you treat it like that, because you learn a lot and you actually have a lot of assumptions, and then you do your research, right? After you build the business hypothesis, then you seek validation and speak to your target market and those early potential customers, early adopters. Talk to them. We said in the past episodes, how do you usually, like, what are some tactics to talking to them? We're going to talk a little bit more today too, but after that, with better understanding of the customer's problem, then you test your idea through an MVP, and always document everything. I know it sounds boring and cliche that, look, we already do this, but it's very important to document. We use Confluence a lot, for example, for our documentation. Maybe it's not the best out there. People use Word, Google Docs. You can use whatever you want, but just document, even paper if you need to. But just document everything, because it's very important to go back and learn from the mistakes or from the successes that you had, and understand what went wrong, because things might go wrong. It went for us, right? We fail. I say it every time. We failed twice with our product, and now the third time, you know we're doing good so far, but it might fail too, right? So I think it's good to go always back and understanding what went wrong, so you can understand what went right, to understand, right? So very important. When you talk about you know becoming the leader, and we said it a little bit also last time, becoming the maverick, right? The the best of the best in your industry, we should understand how it works. Like, usually this is like, especially in the in university or in research, that's what researchers usually say. This is the life cycle of a startup. It starts with initial validation, then it goes a little bit through, like, you love the idea, and because some people validated it, and that means that you're going to be a millionaire, and you're going to be a billionaire, and then I don't know, like, you're going to be the most successful startup in the world. But that goes very quick down, because you don't have, sometimes, not all the time, but you don't have easy success, right? But if you continue going and you don't give up, and you have some kind of a little bit of patience, and you still do that bomb test, right? The book that I recommended. You still do the customer discovery very well, and you prove that validation to be right. Then you have an actual proven market opportunity. What happened after that is that you create an MVP. Maybe you have some sales, right? and then you plateau because usually, and it happened also with us, right? You plateau, you don't grow, you are still not scaling, and it bothers you, and you come into stress, and it's exactly like you can show it. It goes like this, like hills, right? But it's normal. Don't get too upset when that happens. You just again, you have to understand. You are in the teenage stage. You have to understand how to reach that product market fit when you actually your market understand your product very well, but not only understands it, but also pays for it. But not only pays for it, but also you have loyal customers. You have recurring revenue coming in, right? And that's the moment when you have recurring revenue coming in and you can repeat the business model. If you remember last episode, we talked about Uber Eats, right? Like they started with a very small market and they just repeated the same business model, the same business idea, and they went through the whole US and then Canada and all the other countries, right? They just repeated the same thing. They went to billions of dollars in revenue. This is the perfect moment when you grow, right? When you prove that the business model is good, you prove your business hypothesis, right? Like in a science project, and then you can actually go into a very uh, like into a very good growth process, right? So remember this all the time. Remember this graph again. It might not be the same for you, but that's what researchers at least have found out, especially the VC terms. In the beginning, you need to get your hands dirty, right? There's this misconception when we talk about startups. I know it usually comes from a lot of corporate knowledge or corporate experience that the CEO, it's doing just long-term stuff and he's just thinking about down the line 5 years where the startup is going to be, and you are so like you're such an overachiever and you are the best and everybody loves you. It's not like that. It's not a CEO of You are not CEO of a big company. You are a founder and a CEO or a founder and a CTO or a founder and a CMO, right? You need to get your head dirty. You need to do the dirty thing that it's not that good to do, in the sense of, I don't know, you have to go door to door to sell your product, for example. You have to send emails and thousands of emails to people just to have a chance to talk to them. You have to fundraise and you have to, I'm using, maybe it's better, but beg people for money in a sense, right? Uh, it's a hard life. I mean, I've been through it. I've been through it. You have to sacrifice a lot. Sometimes you have to sleep on the street. Again, this is my example. I'm not advising to do that, but you gotta do whatever you gotta do to make this a success, and you have no chance. You shouldn't lose, basically, in the long term. You should always win. But these are the micro thing. You as a CEO or as a founder of a company, you cannot just think about the macro and how the startup is going to be good in the 5 years. You actually have to do the work too, the micro analysis of the situation, day to day work of a founder, right? So I really suggest you to be careful when you go into this road of becoming a founder or a startup founder, because maybe it's not for you, right? Maybe you want more stability, and maybe you want more money generating immediately. But you have to be prepared for the worst, because most probably the worst is going to happen, right? So now, what happens when you acquire your first customers? You know, uh, where do you find your customers? Where do you find revenue? I usually tell people this. It's an easy way of dealing with it, and it also helped us. I got this advice from through one of my mentors and my advisors, and then we did it, and actually it worked. So you remember when we talked about customer discovery? You have to do your customer discovery very good, your market validation very good. Well, when you build the MVP, right? Just go back to your market validation, to the people that you asked, right? And say, hey, you remember when we talked about, in our case, fixing the healthcare system and making your life a little bit better so you don't burn out? We build an MVP to that. Do you want to try? Some of them might say no, they don't have time, they might find excuses. I guarantee you a good number of people will say yes, and they will try it. They'll try it because they're intrigued. The moment that you do a good market validation, a good customer discovery phase, they're going to be intrigued to you. They're going to be very, very curious about what you build. Like, what did this young guy, Luca, build? Right? Like, maybe it's, and some of them might be even negative and might be egoistical and say, you know what, let me just destroy him right now and just say that he sucks or whatever. But you still should do it. It's a good, it's good feedback and it's good understanding of how good your MVP is. Those are your leads. Those are your first customers that you should, it's somehow you should convince them or leave it to them to buy your product. And with them, you have to work continuously. Maybe they don't want to buy your products in the beginning. Maybe they want to see some more features or more development or something like that. But it's good also for you to understand. If you have, I put a number there, 10, it depends. Again, it depends. Because if you're a consumer app, maybe you need a little bit more. If you are like in our case, 10 clinics is a lot of clinics, right? Like, so it's a good number to have. But 10, usually it's pretty good start, whatever you do. Like a number of 10 people that try your MVP and potentially want to buy your product or your service, it's a pretty good number. And always remember, your first customer should be the easiest, in the sense of they should be the ones that actually suffer from this problem, actually suffer from what you're trying to build, and you understood that through conversating and through discussing with them. And the moment that you build them a solution, even though it's crappy, as we discussed, they would buy it, right? They should be your first customers that you don't have to actually convince. I know that I said that you should convince, but when I say convince, I mean they get convinced easily because they just need a solution to this, right? That's pretty much how you should think about it when the moment comes of selling your platform or selling your service. In the beginning, let's say you have 10 people uh, that are good customers or are good, like good even validation for you. You should actually do things that don't scale first, and I really mean this. I know that this is an advice that Y Combinator gives a lot, but I'm giving you my story and a friend of mine story, two healthcare companies, both of them. Our story was we started with only three clinics day to day, going to the clinic, looking at the workflow, look at how doctors see patients, family physicians see patients, look at how nurse practitioners see patients, look at how office manager is part of this equation, seeing how they work with the electronic health records, seeing how they work with different healthcare platforms that they use that can automate some of the things that they do, right, like Scribe or anything like that. So we really understood very well, and we really understood what is might be some gaps that they have, and how can we make it better, and how can we change the whole way that they work, right? This is what's so important for me, like changing the way that you work, your customers work, sorry, that your customers live. I got this, I was talking to the, I was talking to creative distraction lab, which is at UFT at University of Toronto. And one of the things that the CEO of CDL told me is, uh, especially when you build an AI startup, which it's kind of like what we're building, you really need to change drastically how people are living. It's the concept of Nikola Tesla, right? When he built the alternative current, uh, it's the same idea, right? They change the whole way that people are living. That's how you should also do with your product or with your service. You should change whatever, or like that's a good startup at least, right? In today's term, that's a good startup. The one that changes and disrupts the whole industry. Uh, Peter Thiel even says, Peter Thiel is a VC from San Francisco, Silicon Valley, very famous. He has the book Zero to One, which I highly also suggest. It's a very good book. He says you should actually create monopolies, right? Create a new industry, be the leader of that industry through actually disrupting the industry, right? But in order to do that, going back to our point, you should do things that don't scale first. You should understand that you should actually hold on to those first early adopters and understand what they need more, what they maybe there are things that they don't even tell you, but you can see it yourself when you're looking at their workflow. Now, this is our case. We grew very very slowly, but relatively to a startup, right? Slowly, but actually very surely, right? We are in the process of we're scaling. We're doing pilots with cities in Canada, and organizations, governmental organizations. Government has like supported us, right? And we have another startup. I'm not mentioning his name. He's a good friend of mine, actually. He made $250,000 in annual revenue immediately in the first months, right? And that was good, and he was very happy. The thing is that he didn't understood his customers' needs, so he didn't fully understand. Maybe he understood a little bit. He didn't fully understand. And he scaled very quickly. That's what he wanted to do. It's good when you have $250,000 of revenue, but you actually understand that you have your situation under the control. That's totally fine, right? That can work. We're still talking about things that don't scale there. But if you scale very quickly and you still don't understand what your customers need and what your customers' problems are, then when it's going to fail. And what happened? 2 months after that, 2 or 3 months after that, the new year, they failed. They failed. So basically, you have to do things at those scale first and understand very well how your product works. If you do that the right way, uh, that's how you can that's how you can make it successful. This is a good example that I found online of how some companies, basically made it successful. They scaled, and then how they started doing things at those scale, right? I'll give you the deck after if you want. We can have a chat because I don't want to focus too much on this. This is one of the examples. Just ask me on my email about the deck, and you can have all of this information. For example, sorry, I took it out, but a company type can be: can I make a long list of all my future customers are? Doing things that don't scale, it's founder sales using email or LinkedIn. And when you scale, it's actually hiring a sales team. This is a very easy example. I give it to everyone. Like, it's super easy, right? It just makes sense. You have somebody, then you hire a sales team. You don't do it before. Like, you don't hire a team before you actually have money. So, uh, how to attract, engage, and retain your early adopters? You should define your brand. Establish a strong brand to set yourself apart from the competition. This is what I actually did very right, especially with the PR style. Going in conferences, going in meetings with people, and the brand can be created through all of the ways. You can go on TV, create a brand, which is very, very big. Again, like, it's scaling too quickly, maybe. But you can also just go in conferences. I did this with in the beginning with Docere. I used to go to a lot of medical conferences, and I still do actually. But it really helped me in the long term because the doctors start talking to each other. So it's very important to do that. Then it's identifying your target customers, define the profile of your preferred customers, and monitor, evaluate, and improve. This is very, very, very important because you have to monitor their behavior. How do they feel about when you work on the on your platform, right? What are the efforts that you are making to adjust their needs, but not only always like taking their needs as as the goal, as God in a sense, right? They don't know everything. You should be the one to show it to them. Steve Jobs was a big fan of this quote where he said, "The customers don't know what they want until we bring it to them," like Apple brings it to them, right? So you should find that middle ground when you still give them some things that they don't know that they want, but also listening to their feedback a lot and understanding what are their problems, right? Customer is the hero. That's kind of like the slogan. You should always listen to what the customer wants. Again, not what they need or what they think they need, but what are their problems. You have to go very deep, in understanding what the problems at. User experience optimization is also very important. I know that I said that usually there are customers that are going to be very negative again about your product. They're going to talk a lot of bad things. You should understand. First of all, you should understand who is a customer. A customer is someone that pays you, right? Like if they pay you money, that means that they really need a solution. If they don't pay you about your service, they're not your customer. So maybe don't focus too much on that yet. Uh, of course, you should always listen to their feedback too, but don't fully blindly consider their feedback as again as the norm of for your platform. Now, let's go more practically. How to write good emails. This is something that a lot of founders struggle in a little bit, and I got some important lessons. Again, going back to the Y Combinator startup school, uh, this is one of the emails that I know it's a little bit blurry, but one of the emails that the one of the founders at Y Combinator, actually it's one of the partners, Gustav, but he did that as a mock-up, basically, emails, sales email. So the email goes like this: Hello, Amanda. It was inspiring to read your latest blog post on your goals to become a carbon neutral organization by 2030. I'm sure you're already run into complications of this process, and we can help. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Mount blah blah blah, and we make software to help companies easily measure. It's a sales pitch, but whatever. Among our customers are blah blah blah. They have found that using software is dramatically easier than consultant to do this work. It is more accurate, right? Our team previously led product and engineering teams at Airbnb, Twitch, and Google. I'd love to find some time to show you a demo of what we're building. Would sometime on Friday work? Whatever. So, many thanks, Gustav. So, in this case, in this scenario, it's very easy, right? It makes sense. It starts with a research that you did on the customers. Like it shows that you appreciate what they did. It was inspired to read your latest blog, right? And then you introduce yourself, introduce what you're building. Very simple, two sentences, right? Uh, and then what's very important also, why should they trust you? Like what who are like why would she trust you? It's an actual layer of credibility. And you say, hey, we our team worked in Airbnb, Twitch, Google, whatever, we know what we're talking about. And in the end, the call to action, if you love the demo, we can see it, we can check it out. You don't pressure them, you leave them to click on the link, right? You give them this the schedule. Calendly is pretty good. I actually suggest to use Calendly for these cases. And you suggest them to, just do it themselves, basically, all the whole process of if they want to, if they want to get bought about this. You don't pressure them. That's very important. So that's funny. So let me roast myself here. Is this a good or a bad message? I went very far to find this message. So this is a message that I sent. I saw that you are working on something interesting called blah blah, etc. etc. To help companies like Docere, which I co-founded. Uh, we're building something. This is a VC. This is a where I'm talking right now about investment, like which is very similar to the sales pitch. It has some differences, but I wanted to get investment from this lady. We're building something interesting that involves the use of AI, 3D animations, and of course telehealth. I would like to be part of this fellowship. Maybe we can just jump on a call to see if I would be a good fit for this program. All the best, Lukandabai. Now, is this good or bad? I wanted to hear from you a little bit. And what are some problems that you see here? Like obvious problems that you see. Just one problem, because it's a short message, anyways. Or if it's good, what are some good strategy that I used here? I'm giving you guys around 2 3 minutes. If you cannot find it, I'll say it. But I really, I think I did a pretty bad job here anyway. So I'm giving you that. That is pretty bad because in the end of the day, the lady didn't even respond to me. It was a little bit embarrassing. But again, like you have to fail. You have to understand when you fail, right? So let me know what you think I could have done better at this message. What are some things that missed here? Mike says, I think you jumped to the fellowship too soon. You might want to talk first. That's a good one. But Mike, focus a little bit before that, right? Like what am I speaking there? Right? What am I saying there? Right? Put yourself into an investor or a fellow because the fellowship was like to invest money, right? So put yourself into an investor shoes or to a even a sales pitch shoes, like you are a customer. Like what would you say? Got it. Good. Tyler got it. So that was the obvious problem. Maybe a bit more of a specific pitch. The keywords of what you're building is vague. It's very general. Like like what do you, like how can you understand what I'm building there? We're building something interesting that involves the use of AI, 3D animations, and of course telehealth. Like that's every startup basically. Like it's nothing special about my you know thinking. So it's just why would they talk to me, right? Zed, I see your question. It's a very good question. In an accelerator program with faster in-house teams, would you be afraid of sharing long-term ideas? How do you survive competitors until idea gets to the market? That's a very good question. Uh, I'll tell Alexia to flag this question because I want to answer it after the pitch deck is done. But yeah, that's a very good question. We'll answer after that. Uh, so this is another one. Again, this is not perfect. This is also a little bit. It's not it's it's not the best. But hi, my name dear Alan. I'm Luca, the CEO and co-founder of Dolce Health. Leveraging my background in proteomics and genetic medicine research at the University of Cambridge and Harvard, I've joined forces with Ervis Lilai, our CTO, formerly blah blah, and Dr. Purya Sadeki, he's a family physician, with a mission to create the world's first LLM specifically tailored for family doctors to provide you with an in-depth understanding or a visual plan. I would love to have a call with you, right? I look forward to the possibility of connecting, etc., etc. So Ellen is an other investor. Now, the difference is I'm more specific about my product here. I told them about my experience. So what I missed here, and I analyzed this very well, it's the other portion, which is who are my clients? Do I have clients? Do I have some traction? Right? I should have mentioned that. If I mentioned that, that would be the perfect email. But in this case, Alan actually responded, and we had some chats with him. We had some calls, uh, and whatever. But like he actually responded, right? So that's a good validation for this email. So homework number one. I want you guys to send me your email, pitch to me as you are either an investor or you want to sell me your product. Like, sorry, if, as I'm the investor or I'm your potential customers. That's going to be the first homework. I'll remind it again in the end, but don't forget, send me to the email and we'll love to chat. Cool. Now, how to become a good salesman? You are a founder, you are a CEO. Your only job basically is to sell. Not only, but like the very important job. Have you guys watched this movie, The Wolf of Wall Street? Jordan Belfort, Leo DiCaprio, amazing movie by Martin Scorsese. I love movies, by the way. So maybe like when we have other workshops like this, I'm gonna mention a little bit more movies. I've mentioned a lot of books, but more movies is also cool. So Jordan Belfort actually explains in the movie, or Leo explains that there are two types of certainties. It's a logical certainty based primarily on the words you say. It is an emotional certainty based on the gut feeling that something must have been good. And the emotional certainty. So basically, what Jordan says, the Wolf of Wall Street says, in order to be a good salesman, you have to drop the logical certainty when people think about, oh yeah, like what is the problem here? They become pessimistic, right? And increase the emotional certainty threshold. People become very emotional. Oh yeah, like you know what? Maybe I need this. Oh, that helps with I don't know with my medication. That makes sense, right? I want to use it. Or doctors, in my case, like, oh yeah, this will help with our burnouts. Then actually, I might give it a shot. This is very important, especially the first customer discovery or when you show your MVP. This is very important because you just need a shot for them to go look at it. The moment that you look at it, you get a a statistic, right? Either they hate it or either they love it. That's depend on the product. That depends on the technical development. But you as a salesman or as a founder, you should make sure that they actually tried, right? That's pretty much what it is. So it's very important to be prepared. You should do your massive intelligence gathering. You should understand, and and this goes back to the first one of the first episodes that we had when we talked about how to sell to people and how to give it to them and how to actually have customer discovery. Is the famous example or the famous quote in the movie "Sell me this pen." You don't sell the pen if you don't know if the customers want the pen. So the first question are, do you actually want the pen, right? Like, do you use pen in general? Like, what do you write? Do you write on computer? Do you write on paper? So these are the general questions first, and then you go niche. So you have to do your intelligence gathering first before you go to the cold calls or cold emails, right? First 4 seconds, and again, we're basing everything on Jordan Belfort, what he says, are very important. You have to be sharp as a tack, enthusiastic as hell, and an expert in your field. That's how you should. It is just the 4 seconds, right? It makes the whole difference. The tone of the voice, the 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 manners that you have, the confidence that you have, right? You should prove to your customer or potential customer or to investor even that you know what you're talking about. You're not just like a loser or an amateur that doesn't understand the industry at all, right? That's why it's very important to be an expert in your field, right? Uh, Now going back to books, forget about movies. Another good book is Getting to Yes. I mean, I'm not a big fan of sales book, to be honest with you. They say pretty much the same thing, all of them. But this is an interesting book because you learn a lot about how to sell or how to negotiate agreements, which is very important. You're going to be put in life in situations when you have to negotiate, right? So one of the takeaways that I had from this book when I read it was that you should separate the people from the problem. It's very important to separate both of them, right? You should understand the person, but also understand the problem. The problem, a lot of people might have it. The person, it's unique, right? Focus on interests, not positions. Try to understand the other person where they're coming from, and not your interest of selling to them or making money out of them. Because uh, we have intuition. The instinct is gonna maybe get turned on, and if you want to sell to me, and if you want to, uh, I don't know, like profit from me in a way, I'll understand it, and I'll be turned off immediately, and I'll not buy from you. Learn to manage emotions. It's very important to be calm all the time and not be angry because that shows again you are not professional. You are not sharp. Right? You have to be like that. Express appreciation. Very important. You have to be always appreciated to who you're talking to. Develop your beta, which is the best thing that I learned of the book. So beta is the best alternative tactic negotiation agreement. So basically, in easy words, if something doesn't go well as you wanted, what is plan B? So if they don't want to buy from you, a plan B can be, hey, can you introduce me to people that might buy from me, right? Or investors, if they don't want to invest in you, plan B is, can you introduce me to other investors? Can you tell me what's wrong, right? You need a second plan on getting some value from these meetings that you have, right? And escape the cycle of action and reaction, right? Like you shouldn't be like you should really understand. You should really think. You should really communicate with your salespeople. It's very with your customers. It's very important, and people that you want to sell something. It's very very important because that will actually give you the benefit of getting some value out of these conversations. Uh, Now it's important to understand. But before we go to the elevator pitch, I wanted to add also something else. Uh, Tony Fadell, I don't know if I think I talk a little bit about him after, but I'm mentioning it again because it's the sales cycle here. Uh, Tony Fadell, it was the creator of iPod, iPhone, and his mentor was Steve Jobs. He sold his company for after working for Apple for a lot of years. He sold his company for $1 billion. He has another book called Built, very good book too. And he talks about his father. His father was a salesman, and he was one of the best salesmen. He made like seven figures being a salesman. And you know what he did? He was honest to his customers, even if the product that the company was creating was very bad. He used to tell to the customers, forgive me for my language. He used to say to them, "The product is shit. You shouldn't buy this. buy our competitor's product. He told his clients that they should buy the competitor's product. Imagine how crazy that is. But again, indirectly, he knew what he was doing. He was building their trust. He was building their emotional certainty, right? So be true. Also, be honest to your customers. Don't try to fool them. Don't try to sell them things that are foolish. Just be like, you know what? This is what we have. It's not the best solution ever. No, it's not the best product ever, but it's it's what we built without money or without without resources and stuff like that. So be honest with them. It's very important to be honest. Now, how to do an elevator pitch? Elevator pitch is very important. It's a 30 seconds pitch, and you can basically build it or say it uh, as long as is the elevator ride. Like imagine you go in an elevator and you have an investor there. What would you say to them, right? So prepare your elevator pitch. It should be 1 2 sentences. Talk. It's pretty similar to the email. You remember the email that I showed you about Y Combinator? It's pretty or my email that I sent to Alan to the investor. It's very similar to it. So do that. So the homework is going to be second homework. The first homework was uh, basically, creating your own uh, business hypothesis, but not also that. Like, I really want you to, from the business hypothesis, build this sales email, and from learning from the sales email, you can actually build also your elevator pitch. You can do either one of them first, but doesn't matter. Like I in my email, I need both of them so we can work on it and we have a call and we can work on it after. So second homework is elevator pitch. Now it's time for me to pitch you my company. I know that you didn't expect that, but I'm gonna do a small pitch. I'm not gonna talk about everything because I know that we don't have too much time. So how I usually start my pitch is by saying, "Eric, I wanted to become a researcher. I was studying biochemistry. My life changed when my mom, at 45 years old, burnt out and retired as a family physician. That really shocked me and changed my whole perception of life. After that, I did some research on my own based on my experience, right? And I understood that there are actually 10,000 doctors who burn out every year and they retire. And this statistic is only in Canada. So we tried. I met Dr. Pruya Sadeki, who is an amazing family physician, and Ervis, my CTO, who worked for Apple AI at the time. And we tried to find a solution to these problems. We talked and we understood that the actual solution and the actual problem actually it's the EHR systems. Physicians spend 20 minutes per encounter on average on looking at the computer and typing out patient data. So I'm going a little bit fast here with blah blah blah. We build a solution, and then I talk a little bit about technicalities of the solution. But you understand, you see how I did my intro, and usually I'm saying just I'm pitching you guys only the intro because the intro is very important. Uh, I don't even talk. I don't even leave it in the slide. I start immediately with the problem. I usually that's how kind of like you build a pitch deck, and this pitch deck it's very important because it's going to be what you're going to fundraise, right? I know that we changed a little bit quick from sales to fundraising, but it's very similar, right? In the beginning, your job as a CEO is to fundraise and to sell. So yeah, I understood how I talked about the problem. I was very emotional. I used some statistic to prove my point, but I was pretty emotional, right? I really because it is emotional for me. It's my life, right? I never give up with this because it's actually my life, and I really want to prove to the investors or prove to the customers that I'll do whatever it takes to make this a success and to solve the problem. And that I know very well the problem. I'm showing that I'm an expert in the problem. Then I talk about the solution. Of course, solution is more rational, right? I show some data. We save doctors 2 hours per day and increase their revenue by $1,000 per day. Then I go in technicalities, how our AI works, which of course investors and customers need. Competitive advantage is very important, very very important. You have to build a deck in your pitch deck. You need also the competitive advantage. A founding team, advisory team if you have, right? It's very important to talk about this both because these are the maybe the most important part of your pitch. And in the end, what I do is I end it with a very strong message too. And usually, how I end it with is a slide where I say I need $500,000, for example, in our last fundraising round, and I say, if we help family physicians have better lives, we can actually help patients have better patient care. So join us in our journey to help doctors combat burnout and revolutionize the family physician care forever. So this is pretty much how I started, how I ended. Again, I focused here because these are the most important parts. That maybe you can win some pitch competitions through that, but also convince your investors that you are a good presenter. Now, how to create a good deck? This is very important because decks are what you said usually to people. They maybe don't even listen to your pitch, right? You just said the decks. Keep things simple and clear. The simpler the words, the better. Establish your brand colors. Ensure there are no mistakes. Mistakes are so annoying when the investors catch them. They're gonna be because they're gonna be like, imagine they don't even look at their deck. Imagine if we invest in them, they don't even care, right? And your deck should speak for itself, right? Uh, if a stranger doesn't understand your product, like like a grandma like even a grandma should understand, or even like a grandpa should understand your product. It should be so easy to understand it through the deck, right? I know that maybe, for example, mine it's a little bit more technically deep, and I try every time to make it simpler, but you should try to make it as simple as possible. Like this, for example, right? This is the simple statistic, story of the situation. Uh, Again, solution, you know, keep the things clear. You understand it for yourself. It's very easy. You're like, I said some no brainers today, but you should get your deck reviewed multiple times before finalizing or before sending it, and not only by one person but by different eyes, because you sometimes you become biased, and maybe you like what you built because it's your thing, right? So you don't really create the best deck ever. It's good to pitch in front of some investors, like a mock pitch. It's good to pitch in front of your friends. They can give you some good feedback. And the best way to do this is to pitch in front of an expert, someone that has experience investing or looking at pitch decks or building their own pitch decks, right? That's the best thing before you actually pitch for money or pitch for sales or whatever, right? You should review it a couple of times. You should test it out. Again, your deck should have a mission, a problem, a solution, a technicality showing, and very important, you should have market size, which we will talk a little bit after, competitive advantage, team, and a very strong uh, ending. This is pretty much like a call to action. Like, what do you want from you? This basically, again, it's a plus if you add some go to market strategy there. It's a plus if you have some marketing strategy. It's a plus if you have some, how you're going to use your funds. But core should be this. Again, problem, solution, technical, whatever, like the product, what the product does, market size, competitive advantage, team, strong ending. That's it. If you can do that, that's awesome. Third homework. So again, email, elevator pitch, an actual deck. Now I know that the deck might take some time, and I know that you don't have time for doing it in a week, but I would appreciate it if you can do it at some point, and then maybe I'm open to review it, and I can send it to also my friends and our investors to review it too. So send it to me through email. This was the end of a beautiful series. I really hope you guys enjoyed it, and especially today's session, which was a little bit more intensive, and we learned some new concepts and maybe it's things that you already knew. But this homework is going to be very important if you really want to grow, and if you need some help from someone that has been through it, I would really suggest you to do that, and I'll help you with even other people to review your decks, your email, or your elevator pitch. In the end, I really want to appreciate all for your time, and hopefully you learned a lot, as I said, and hopefully you can become the next generation of founders that will innovate a lot of different industries. So now is the time for questions. If you have any questions, we don't have too much time, only like 5 minutes, but My email, it's it's there. Send me send me the homeworks and also send me some questions. And stay tuned because we're starting a new initiative with Microsoft Reactor. It's going to be amazing. You're going to love it. It's going to start in March. So stay tuned for that and join us for the next initiative. And thank you so much for being part of this series. So let's start with questions. I want some good questions right now for the last episode. I think we had a question before uh, from Zed, right? In an accelerator program with with faster in-house teams, would you be afraid of sharing long-term ideas? How do you survive competition until idea gets to market? Now, when you're in an accelerator program, they usually don't steal your ideas because it's more like a ethical thing. Like you can just talk against them, and they're gonna be like their reputation is very important, right? So you shouldn't. They wouldn't usually kill their reputation for this. And the second thing is that if you give a small pitch that is not general, it's specific, but it doesn't say any secret sauce that you have there, it shouldn't be a problem. Believe me, they're not gonna just steal your idea because they don't know how to build it and they don't know what to do with it, right? Maybe it gives a light bulb, but but it's not gonna suffer you for the long term. And the third thing is you should build a business and you should build a startup that no matter what's no matter if someone copies it or somebody you have a competitor in the future, you're still going to survive and you're still going to become better than them. And there are two main ways that I've seen, at least, that you can do that. The first one is by being the first mover's advantage, by having first mover's advantage, like in a new industry, new business, basically. Usually, even them, sometimes they get overcome by competition, but at least you have a very big advantage to start with and always innovating the blue ocean strategy if you want to be more specific, like always innovate, don't think what competitors doing, just only innovate, change things, disrupt all that. That's the first one. The second one, you have an amazing business model and an amazing distribution strategy. If you figure out these two things, I trust me, they don't want to go in a competition with you. Thank you so much for the question. Sylvia, what's your thoughts on one pagers prior to sending a deck? One pages are good. I'm not a big fan of them, but some investors like them, so they're good. Just be careful. Don't overshare. Share the specific things you don't want to overshare because you're going to be bored at it. So just share the simple things, the more exact and more shorter solution to your problem that you found out, right? So uh, again, I'm not a big fan of them, but if the investors like them and they usually don't mind, uh, you should send it. If Infinity Labs, as a 15-year-old entrepreneur, I'm constantly turned down for professional events because of my age, even when I travel with my mom. Are there any accelerators you are aware of that can look past my age? First of all, good luck. You're 15 years old. You're so young. I thought I was young because I started at 21, but you have a very good future uh, like in front of you. And I hope you never stop innovating and never stop creating companies because it's very important to have people like you in this society. Now, about that, I don't specifically know. I know I remembered I looked for my brother who is younger than me and he's a tech guy. But one of the one of the cool ones is the Knowledge Society, I think it's called TKS. It's pretty good. That's an accelerator that you might apply for. There, look for young people. Yeah, 1517 Fund. Now, 1517 Fund is created by Daniel Stratchman. Stratchman, I hope I'm saying her last name right. She's amazing. I met her once, and she apply as she invests in people that are younger and they are dropouts or they're high school, like very like not your usual founder, right? More unusual founders. So 1517 fund is good. And the third one, Founders Hub, is pretty good. They usually give you a lot of benefits for free. So I'll really suggest you to use that. Cool. The last question is from Tyler. Uh, you you mentioned it often takes different messaging, etc., to reach different audiences. Do you have thoughts on maintaining a consistent brand when trying to reach different audiences? Uh, yeah, I mean, uh, so it's usually better. You are right. It's usually better creating a consistent brand, someone that you have your values and and people know you, and that's what make you feel a little bit more secure and a little bit more confident when you talk with different customer targets or different audiences, right? So it's better if you uh, create a specific, brand, PR, whatever, about your company or about yourself, uh, and then you can expand if you want to in the future. But in the beginning, and also I suggest you in the beginning, stick with one audience or stick with one customer target and a very niche one, because that's going to be the best that you can have in the beginning. And then you can expand it and you can learn during the way, right? But in the beginning, understand that specific customer target and specific audience, and then you can create more comprehensive idea about your startup or about yourself. Cool. Thank you so much, guys. And I really think I hope you love the today's episode, and I'll see you in next initiatives. Thank you so much.